Hello everyone, I'm Paul McGuire Grimes. Audiences may know B.J.Novak from his days on The Office, and now he's making his feature film debut as a writer and director with Vengeance. It's in theaters, and I want to talk about it. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies. Novak also leads the film as Ben, a writer for The New Yorker who now wants to be a podcaster, hoping to tell that great story that connects with people. It feels like he's going through a bit of an existential crisis with his thoughts about the state of America, relationships, and really everything in between as he tells John Mayer at an event. And yes, it's that John Mayer who only appears in this scene at the beginning. Now, one night he gets a strange call saying that his girlfriend Abilene has been killed and needs to go down to Texas for the funeral. Now, they only hooked up a few times, but her family believes that they were dating. Now, he heads down south where her brother Ty, who's played by Boyd Holbrook, tells Ben that he thinks that she was murdered and now wants to avenge her death. Now, Ben's a little leery as it really does seem to be an overdose, but sees this conflict of reality as the perfect story to tell on a podcast. His producer, played by Issa, gives him the green light, taking him on this winding road to where the truth lies. Now, I'd be surprised if you're not totally sold on this movie within the first 20 minutes due to how B.J.Novak sets up the story. It's as if he's mirroring the true crime podcast genre about dead white girls as his structure here. And yes, I use that phrase specifically, as the working phrase for Ben's podcast is dead white girl. The film opens with that song Red Solo Cup and the existential conversation I mentioned earlier. And it just sets up the tone and the character of Ben perfectly, as he wants to expose the need and meaning of vengeance. And Novak knows how to paint these Texas characters as the outlandish characters that you'd find on a podcast. Now, this movie feels part dark comedy, part satire, if you're at all curious on the use of stereotypes and the point that Novak is trying to make. We see Ben go through a bit of an awakening when he sits down and actually gets to know Abilene's family and see how misguided his initial judgments were about them. While this isn't based on a true story, many watching this movie will get an inside look at how podcasts are created and the storytelling at hand. Ashton Kutcher has a smaller role here as a blunt music producer who paints the unfortunate cultural shift that's happening in art and music, reminding Ben that everyone has a take these days and everyone has a voice. And I think that people will be quite impressed by Ashton Kutcher's performance, as he's really playing against that stoner type that we're typically associating with him. Now, Novak seems less concerned about the murder mystery element of the podcast, but rather exposing the flawed nature in all of his characters, including Ben. Ben seems excited to really expose this American reality that we invent myths when truth is too hard to accept. And you can feel Novak really wrestling with all these viewpoints, which is why he throws so much out in Vengeance, in this kind of attempt to bring this cultural shift to the forefront. By the time we get to the final act, Novak feels a little lost in how he decides to wrap this all up. He gives it this kind of shocking twist that's really dark, that seems to go against what he was setting up in the first half. Now, that doesn't ruin the entire movie, but it shows that Novak was navigating too much and got lost somewhere along the way. Novak certainly has a voice as a writer, as we've seen in his novels and in television, and I'm really curious to see what movies that he'll make next. I'm giving Vengeance 3.5 out of 5 ticket stubs. If you like my review today, click subscribe on my YouTube channel. I got some other movie reviews, as well as my appearances on Twin Cities Live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Paul's Movie Trip, and then go out to my website, paulstriptothemovies.com, for even more reviews. Thank you so much for watching my review of Vengeance. This is Paul's Trip to the Movies.